Hello, it's Angela from Angela Marciano Physical Therapy, and I am here today with your alignment guide. Sorry, I just realized my lights are a little bit off. Okay, so we've gone through this either in individual sessions or in our workshops together. So you are going to think about standing with your feet hip distance apart, which means the center of your butt cheeks line up with your heels. So if you do a line straight down to the floor from the middle of your cheeks or your sitting bones, if you're a yogi, that's hip distance apart. And then you're just going to shift your weight towards the ball of your foot and towards your heels. You can stay where you are. I'm going to turn sideways, shifting the weight towards the ball of your foot and then towards your heels. And there's a range of where you could be without lifting your toes or lifting your heels off the floor. You're going to find a place where your weight is balanced between the heels and the balls of your feet. And then you're going to bring your hands to the widest part of your hips. And you're going to rotate your thigh bones in and then straight ahead. I'm going to come a little closer so you can see that maybe. Rotating your thigh bones in and then straight ahead. Rotating your thigh bones in and then straight ahead. So it's not a very big movement and it's not an exercise. It's just an awareness. So you can see as I rotate my thigh bones in, my kneecaps look at each other a little bit. And if you bring your awareness to your feet when you do this, as you rotate your thigh bones in, the arches drop just a little. As you bring your kneecaps straight ahead, the arches lift. Rotate your thigh bones in, the kneecaps look towards each other and the arches drop. Rotate your thigh bones straight ahead and the arches lift slightly. So what's going on in your hips can affect you all the way down to the foot, and some of the muscles that rotate the hip are directly connected through fascia to the muscles of the pelvic floor. So it's all connected. It really matters. The next thing you're going to do is place one hand on your pubic bone and one hand on your tailbone. And if you imagine your pelvis like a bowl of soup, you're going to tuck your tail and tip your pelvis back like you're pouring your soup out behind you. And then you're going to lift your tail and drop your pubic bone, pouring your soup out in front of you. Tuck your tail and lift your tail. So I'm doing a bit of an exaggerated movement. There's not a ton of movement here. I tend to be really tipped forward. Some folks are really tucked under. You might find you have more motion in one direction than the other. But you're just trying to figure out, where am I? How much movement do I have? So if you had a toggle on the front of your pelvis and the back, you're lifting the front, dropping the back, dropping the front, and lifting the back. And you're going to find a place where you feel like you're not spilling your soup anywhere. So we don't want your butt tucked under, but you don't want to sort of have your belly hanging out your back excessively arched. So it's somewhere in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect when you're getting started, especially after pregnancy. There can be a lot of variation on that, but some of us had that going on before pregnancy. So we're just working to get to optimal. So we've got our weight balanced on the heels and balls of our feet, kneecaps pointing straight ahead. We're not pouring any soup out behind us. And then I'm going to have you put your hands on your hips and slide your rib cage to the right and then to the left. So if you had a cup of coffee or a glass of wine on your shoulders, you're not spilling your coffee or your wine or whatever you have. Your shoulders stay level and you're just gliding to one side and then the other. Keep it nice and easy. There's, again, a range of where you could be. If you've been doing a lot of carrying kids and toddlers, you might find that you're off to one side. Sometimes we make a shelf with the hips, slide the ribs over and plunk them right there while we're doing stuff, right? So we're going to get back to midline. So find that place. Notice how easy it is to go to one side or the other, how it feels. And you're going to settle yourself in the middle where your ribs are stacked over your pelvis. And then you're going to think about your rib cage like a bell. So a bell is narrow at the top and it's broader at the bottom. It's got a big round opening. If you bring your hands up to your rib cage, the base of your rib cage, it's the opening of your bell, you're going to ring your bell. You're going to lift the bottom front up and the back drops. You're going to drop the front and the back lifts. Lift the front and the back drops. Drop the front and the back lifts. There's a range again of where you could be. You're trying to keep the rest of yourself stable. And you'd like to end up with that opening on the bottom of your rib cage stacked over your pelvis. So for a lot of us, when we do that, because we're so tight in the upper body, you'll feel really hunched over and rounded forward, like that feels like terrible posture. It's because you're tight up here that is off. You want to get the rib cage in the right place. Now we're going to leave the bottom of the rib cage where it is and lift just the breastbone, right? So boobs and above lift up. Then you're going to shrug your shoulders up, bring them back, and let them relax down the back. And then the last piece is the head. You're going to slide your head back in line as best you can so it's stacked on the rest of your body. Gaze is straight ahead, chin level. So the cheat will be sometimes to, if you can't get your head back, to tip the chin up so you feel like you're there. Can you see the difference? So it's more of a gentle slide back. It's not a forced push back. Gaze level. Shoulders stay back. Feel the heels reach into the floor. And then go ahead and shake it out. We're going to go through it just a little bit quicker just to help you remember, okay? So heels line up under sitting bones. Shift the weight towards the ball of your foot and then towards the heel without lifting the toes or the heels. Find a place where the weight's about equal between the heel and the ball of the foot. Hands on the outer hips. Rotate your thigh bones in and then straight ahead. So kneecaps look at each other just a bit and then they come straight ahead. Go easy with this. Feel what happens to your arches as you rotate the thigh bones in. The arches will drop as the kneecaps come straight ahead. The arches lift. Bring the kneecaps to where they're straight ahead. So if you had headlights on your kneecaps, they're facing straight ahead on the road. One hand on pubic bone, one hand on tailbone. You're going to tuck your tail and lift your tail. So if your pelvis were a bowl of soup, you're pouring your soup out in front of you and then behind you. You're going to come as close as you can to a place where you're not spilling your soup anywhere. Keep it there. You might feel like you're working a little bit in your abdomen, but you don't want to feel like you're squeezing or clenching your cheeks. Hands come to rib cage. Slide your ribs to one side and then the other. And just notice how easy or not easy this movement is and how similar or different from one side to the other. Come back to center. And then you're going to ring your bell. Lift the bottom front of your rib cage, drop the bottom front. When I lift the back, or when I lift the front, the back drops. When I drop the front, the back lifts. I'm going to find that place where my ribs are stacked over my pelvis. If I imagine that opening on the bottom of my rib cage that my hands are feeling. And then I'm going to lift my breastbone. So you're going to lift your breastbone, keeping the bottom of that rib cage, the bone of that bell steady. Just lift the breastbone. Shrug the shoulders up and back. Let them slide down your back. Bring your head back in line so it's stacked over the rest of your body, again, as best you can. Gaze stays level, eyes straight ahead. And if you imagine, if we've done this in person, I probably pushed down on your shoulders and you felt really solid versus if your pelvis is tipped forward or your ribs are lifted. When I push down, I can kind of buckle you backwards. Or if your tail is tucked and your ribs are forward, I can sort of fold you towards the front, right? You want this nice solid line. Practice that a little bit throughout the day. It'll get really easy. You'll start to know when you're in the right place. This is just static posture, so it's a starting place. We then need to be able to take it with us. So when you're carrying kids, playing golf, carrying groceries, whatever it is you need to do, you need to be able to take your alignment with you. Hope that helps and have a great day.